Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The doctor is in, and with me, as per usual, my good friend William.
Cheer, Doc, and tēnā koutou cuzzies, it's your bro Willie from a town called Waihi, back for another week of friends, fun, whānau and faithful, not? Sometimes I think I'm a funny fella like old Billy T, rest his soul.
I assume you are referring to the late great comedian Billy T. James, a fine, funny, friendly fellow indeed.
Ooh, lot of F-words there, Doc. Better be careful, we might be censored. But yeah, bloody funny, alright. Funnier than that other Billy T fella anyway.
Other Billy T. William?
Yeah, that's him, Billy T. Williams. He played that fella Land Rover Cal Rastafarian in those Star Wars movies. Bloody hard case, alright. Not as hard case as that Westie though. What's his name? Chewie?
Chewbacca the Wookiee?
Yeah, that's the one. Chew Tobacco the Westie. Has a mullet, drives a Falcon. You know, Doc. Classic Westie.
Oh, William, you truly do tickle my funny bone, and I'm always glad to have you on the show for our back and forth banter. But we do have another story for our listeners this week, so we should really push on.
Alright then, Doc. Do make it. Let's pull off and get on with the show then, eh?
Good show, old chap. Today's story is a rather sad tale that serves to illustrate that even though one might have everything in life, sometimes even everything is just never enough for some people, and our actions oftentimes serve to have consequences, not just for us, but for everyone around us. Truly sad times. Now, my manservant Arthur is here to narrate our story. Arthur, you may begin.
Right away, sir.
I never stopped loving her, even after my suspicions had become aroused. Several strange things had been happening that had never happened in our 15 years of marriage, and my spidey senses were tingling. Her outfits and appearance changed significantly. When the new boss took over the office, our sex life suddenly changed, but for the better. Now, she was initiating sex far more often, which she had never done before. Also, I noticed her texting more frequently at night, and late meetings after work were now commonplace. Of course, she had the perfect excuses for everything, but for some reason, my jealous nature was rearing its ugly head. I asked the private investigations agency I had hired not to tell me anything until the file was ready. I didn't want anything to change between us, and prayed that I was just a paranoid husband. After 3 months of investigation, I was given a folder containing news that I hoped would never come. After reviewing the video, audio and photos, I told Coop, my attorney, to file the divorce papers and have them ready for me by Wednesday afternoon. I planned to go to their scheduled date on Thursday night, while they thought I was out of town. I had planned a pleasant surprise for this couple. It still amazes me how she thinks she could get away with this. Olivia knows me better than anyone. She knows how intuitive, strong-willed and relentless I am. Hell, she had even seen how ruthless I could be when I took over the large transport company I worked for and mercilessly destroyed my competitors. Now, I owned a controlling stake in it. Truckers and truck drivers respect me and I treat them well. I know they have my back if I ever need them. I gave Olivia everything and always treated her like a queen, and she knows it. She tells her friends and family how great I am and how strange it is that I still seem to have a young lover's crush on her, but also tells them how much she loves it. That's why a burning question haunts me since my fears were confirmed. Why would she risk everything she has for an affair? Having an affair with your boss for sex? Why? This was a most troubling question. Olivia had always been a wonderful mother and wife, and it was just so hard to understand. Sex was frequent, she took care of the home, and worked full-time as an executive assistant at a local tech company. To this day, I would have never thought that she could have had a lover. My name is Anthony Mancini, and I've been Olivia's husband for 15 years. We have 2 teenage daughters who have always been daddy's girls. I guess I'm what some modern folks would call an alpha male, someone who doesn't take crap from anyone but treats his wife like the special prize that I knew she was. In our relationship, I let her take charge and feel strong, up to a certain point. Thanks to genetics, I inherited my father's physical characteristics. I stand around 2 meters tall and weigh about 120 kgs. I suppose I cut quite a muscular, imposing figure, but I'm a gentle giant really. Well, until I'm provoked, that is. Olivia had seen this a few times when we had gone out together. Guys were always staring at her and flirting with her. This always drove me crazy. One of my shortcomings is my jealous streak, which, once activated, is difficult to control. Over the years, I've learned to control my anger, but I've not yet mastered it. Olivia has seen me lose it twice in the last 15 years, and she knows what I'm capable of. One time, while we had been out, some idiots tried to ask her to dance. Twice. She'd already told them she was with me both times, but they didn't want to take no for an answer, and pulled her out of the stall while I sat there and watched. They must have thought that since they were big, tough guys, I would just sit there and let them take my wife. Big mistake. 1 second, we were talking about our girls and having fun together. The next, I was stunned when this guy had the nerve to grab her arm and pull her out of the booth. Before he took his first step onto the dance floor, I jumped out of my booth and placed myself between him and my wife. He took a swing, and with one quick movement, I dislocated his shoulder and pushed him into our booth where he just writhed in pain. After that, we left. Another time, the same thing happened, but the guy left with a broken wrist and a concussion this time. Like I said, I don't take crap from anyone, and my biggest problem is jealousy. Which again brings up the question of this affair. Since she knows me, why would she even entertain it? By the next evening, everything was ready. One of my assistants accompanied me, and we agreed that he'd hand me the folder when I gave him the signal. I got there early and gave the hostess a good tip so she would seek the two lovers in a more private area. My wonderful wife thought I was out of town, and on the audio files I had received, I heard her tell her boss that she was free Thursday night if he still wanted to meet. Of course, this idiot agreed, and excitedly said that he would plan everything. The PI agency gave me software to install on Olivia's phone so that I would receive copies of her text messages and emails. The app also had a function to record any audio and upload it to a private server. I had received a copy of a message he had sent to Olivia, which included the time he would pick her up, the restaurant they had a reservation at, and a confirmation she would dress sexy for him. I seethed with rage after reading this. The way my soon-to-be ex-wife was behaving, how this guy had the audacity to pick up my wife at my house. My plan was simple. Let the lovers get comfortable with their first drink and then make my entrance. At that point, I would say what I had to say, ending with a small threat and unexpected divorce documents. My anger and thirst for revenge grew. I knew deep down that Olivia wouldn't want a divorce because she truly loved me and the children. I knew that what I was about to do would crush her and change her life forever. But I didn't care. I just wanted her to feel some of the pain she caused me. I had eyes and backup on the scene, ready to alert me at the right time. So on Thursday evening, upon receiving word that the loving couple had entered and were seated, ordering drinks, I was ready to face them. I got out of my car, entered the restaurant, smiled at the hostess, took a deep breath and, controlling my anger, started putting my plan into action. The loving couple sat at their table, and my heart sank as I noticed my beautiful wife wearing a sexy cocktail dress with her perfect breasts on full display. This really pissed me off, as she had never dressed like that for me. Why? Why did she do this to me? I couldn't understand it. It didn't make any sense, and it was driving me crazy. Apparently, tonight she wanted to be his favorite and look sexy for her boyfriend, and it was driving me nuts. I started making my way to their table. They didn't even notice me at first, they were so romantically focused on each other. How nice. It was only after I moved a chair from the next table to theirs that they finally noticed me. The look on Olivia's face was priceless. She looked at me with a combination of shock, fear, and guilt that I had never seen before. Her boyfriend had no idea what was going on and didn't understand that I was her husband. He just looked at me with an annoyed expression on his stupid face, and so it began. "Hello, Olivia. Are you two having a fun date tonight?" I asked with a wide smile. "Honey, what are you doing here? I thought you were out of town today. My boss, Robert, invited me to dinner to discuss some changes in the organization. Please join us. Robert, this is my husband, Anthony," she said in a loving and calm voice. God, she thought she was so smooth. I had to admit that she was cool and recovered quickly. The drink I ordered before arriving at the table arrived, and, ignoring Olivia's lies, I proposed a toast. I ignored her question of what I was doing there and said, with a disarming smile, "Raise your glasses and join me in a little toast. Let's drink to an interesting night and a new direction." After my toast, I smiled and turned to her boss, Robert. Do you know why Olivia and I have been able to remain happily married for 15 years? Honesty and trust. Simple as that. Are you married, Robert? Of course, I knew everything about him from the report. Yes, I've been married for 20 years and have 4 wonderful children, ranging in age from 5 to 13, and I agree with you, Anthony. Trust and honesty are also an important part of our marriage. I'm so glad to hear that, Robert. Then I turned to my wife. Olivia, do you feel the same way too? I asked, knowing I was putting her in a disquieting position. Of course, honey. I absolutely agree that honesty and trust are important for our marriage, she said confidently. After all, she had just said that they were just having a business dinner. She had no reason to feel guilty or nervous. I continued, You see, Robert, we have an amazing marriage, and Olivia knows how much I love her and would do anything for her as long as she remains faithful to me. I saw them both shudder slightly. As I took another sip from my glass, I continued my game. So how long have you two been dating? I asked casually with a wide smile. Olivia was irritated and tried to pull herself together, setting her jaw indignantly. Darling, this is a business meeting and you are putting me in an awkward position in front of my boss. Please stop acting jealous. You know me better than that. Following Olivia's example, her boyfriend took the opportunity to put me in my place. That's right, Anthony. This is just a business dinner. I needed to discuss some changes I was going to make, and I needed to meet with Olivia tonight. I'm sorry if you misunderstood the situation, my friend. I'd never step outside of my professional relationship, especially with a married woman. I tried to look apologetic and said, Oh, my apologies. So you've never gone on a date with my wife and it's just a business dinner? That's right, Anthony. Nothing is happening between us, my friend. I turned again to my wife. Olivia, is this truly just a business meeting and you've never been on a date with him before? I asked. A question that would determine our future. Would she choose honesty or lies? What was it going to be? Unfortunately, I'd already anticipated the answer before she spoke. It truly is only business meetings, dear. I would never be with another man, especially my own boss. Now please stop being childish. I'm sorry, Robert. My husband has a slight tendency to be jealous, but he knows how much I love him. I lowered my head, feigning resignation, and said, Please forgive me. I'm so sorry. I guess my jealousy overcame me seeing you in that sexy dress with this handsome man. I hope you can understand from my point of view. Robert patted me on the back, clearly relieved that I'd been fooled, and said, Anthony, there's no need to apologize. If my wife looked this good and was at a restaurant with a strange man, well, I'm not sure what I would do either. Everyone relaxed, and then I raised my hand and signaled to the man watching us from the bar. He understood the signal and walked over to the table. Everyone looked at him as he approached and handed me a thick folder, then turned and walked away. I saw Olivia and Robert look at each other questioningly. As I opened the folder, and just before I placed the first photograph on the table, I turned to Olivia and spoke in a quiet, sad voice. Olivia, you knew that I loved you with all my heart and would have given the whole world to you. You took my love and all the years of our marriage and threw it all away. You hurt me deeply, and I will never forget what I've seen in these photos, nor what you said about me on the audio that I also have. I will never be able to get any of this out of my head for the rest of my life. Thank you so much for this. Olivia gasped and brought her hands to her mouth as I laid each photo out on the table, one at a time. Robert became angry and wanted to know where I got the photos from, but I just told him to shut the hell up. Olivia was now openly sobbing and begging me to stop. Other tables were facing our direction, and I tried to turn my volume down so as not to disturb the entire restaurant. Olivia realized how bad it looked and felt she had only one choice. I'm so sorry, baby. Can we just leave and I'll explain what happened? It's really not what it looks like. I looked at her with a surprised expression and asked very slowly, Isn't this what it looks like? Are you really going to keep lying to me even in the face of all this evidence? Before any more lies come spilling out of your mouth, you both should know that I have hours of video, audio, text messages, emails, and photos. Olivia, I have to say that after watching these videos, I never thought you could be so slutty. You've never shared this side of yourself with me, and that hurts. I've spent a fortune in the last 3 months getting this information, and it is all verified. So believe me, I understand everything. Putting the photos back in the envelope, I said, Now, let me explain why I'm here and what's going to happen tonight. Then I handed Olivia the divorce papers and said, Olivia, it's over between us. You and your boyfriend ruined our marriage and my love for you. You've hurt me like I have never been hurt before, and I will never be with you again. So you will sign this tonight. And if you don't sign it, I will show all the video and audio to your parents and all of our friends, and your children will know what kind of mother you are. The settlement is fair, but the girls will live with me. There is no way my daughters will live with a cheater like you. Robert, my friend, I suggest you convince your girlfriend to sign this before I leave. Otherwise, I will give copies of all the evidence to your wife and your management team at work. When I'm done, you won't have a job, and I'll definitely convince your wife, Laura, to throw you out and ruin you financially. Now, I don't want to do any of that, so just convince her to sign the divorce papers. And then my future ex-wife is all yours. I never want anything to do with her again. These words struck a nerve in her. The thought of losing her daughters was something that she couldn't come to terms with. Tears were streaming down her face, and her boyfriend looked panicked. Olivia begged me to stop and reconsider. She spouted the usual nonsense. It's not what it looks like. Let me explain, I'll make it up to you. It was just a mistake. Please forgive me, blah blah blah. She finished with the words, Anthony, I love you and I don't want this. Please give me one more chance. Ignoring her pleas, I stood up and said, I'm going to the men's room, and when I return I want the papers to be signed. If they're not, I promise that both of you will not be able to comprehend how much hell I will bring into your lives. I left Olivia crying and her lover in shock. I knew Robert would do everything in his power to get her to sign those papers to save his own ass while I was gone. Robert quickly spoke. He knew that he could never allow his wife and his colleagues to see those videos, and would do everything possible to prevent this. He had to convince Olivia to sign the papers. Olivia just signed them, and then ask him to hold on to them for a week, to give you a chance to talk. You need to convince him that you love him. Tell him you'll go to therapy, whatever it takes, but make him wait a week. Tell him that this is the least he can do after 15 years of marriage for only one mistake. This is the only chance I see for you right now. I can tell that he is not fooling around, and if he has video and audio recordings, we are both screwed. I don't want a divorce, she screamed. Trust me, Olivia. If you get him to wait, I'm sure you can save your marriage. Think about the children. You don't want to lose the girls, do you? After a few minutes, I returned to the table. Well, have you signed them yet? With the saddest face I've ever seen, she looked me in the eyes and said, Honey, I'll do whatever you want, including signing these papers, but please give me a week before you do anything. Please let me go home with you and give me at least that much after 15 years. Please give me 1 week to be with my girls and talk. I sat silently and looked into her eyes for a long time. Thinking about her request, I gave in and said, Even though you don't deserve anything from me for what you did and how you ruined our marriage because of this asshole, I'll concede. You can go home and you'll have a week before I give the documents to my lawyer. You'll stay in one of the guest bedrooms. I don't want you near my bed. Now sign them so I can get out of here. She signed the papers and I put them back in the folder, then stood up to leave. Before leaving, I took her hand and she smiled, until she realized that I was taking off her wedding rings. I put them in my pocket and then took off the ring I had worn for 15 years. I held it, and while she was looking at it, I casually tossed it into her wine glass. The look on her face gave me only a little satisfaction. Then she started crying again. This made me smile a little more, because I knew she was starting to feel my pain. I turned to Robert and said, Well, asshole, she's all yours. Do whatever you want with her. I'm leaving. But remember this, Robert. You had sex with my wife, destroyed our marriage, and jeopardized so many things, including my children's love for their mother. You're very lucky I didn't go through with my original plans for you. It's not over between us, not by a long shot. You will hear from me soon. Understood? Robert nodded quietly as I hovered over him. Looks like I may have ruined their plans for the evening. I wonder if they'll even want to still have sex after I'm gone. As I started to leave, Olivia grabbed my hand and said, Anthony, can I please go home with you? I just want to be with you, please. I pulled my hands away as if they had been touched with a hot iron and said, To hell with you. I don't want to be seen with you, now or ever again. You're nothing but his toy now. I'll see you after he's done with you. Tonight, tomorrow. Either way, it doesn't matter to me. You have 1 week. You disgust me, and I'm ashamed that I was your husband. I really didn't care. I felt like I had my jealousy and anger well under control. I was proud that I was able to suppress all the pent-up rage. I heard her come home about an hour after I'd gotten home myself, and to her credit, she headed straight to the guest room. She had realised that I wouldn't be able to talk to her calmly at the moment. We met the next morning in the kitchen when I came down for coffee. I was still in a vengeful mood and said, "Good morning, traitor. How's my slut wife doing today?" She tensed, somewhat flinched, looked down at her coffee and uttered the exact same words that every cheating wife who gets caught cheating and who wants to save their marriage says. "Honey, we need to talk." "We have nothing to talk about, Olivia. I know what you did. I know how long you've been doing it. I know everything you told him about me and our marriage. I saw you do things with him that you never did with me. I saw how you dressed with him. Heard you say how he's bigger and better than me. I heard it 100 times in your videos. You lied, hid it, deceived and took me for a fool. I can't believe you were so stupid. If there's something that I don't understand, then we can talk. Otherwise, I have nothing to say." Olivia was crying once again and replied, "You're not the fool, I am. I don't know why I let this happen. You gave me everything I ever wanted, and I love you, no matter what you heard in those videos. You have to know that I never set out to hurt you, and I never wanted you to find out." I just looked at her impassively. "That's exactly the problem, Olivia. You never wanted me to find out. You wanted to keep your dirty little secret and continue to lie and have fun with your lover behind my back. That's the real problem, Olivia. I could forgive one-time infidelity or slip-ups, damn it. We're all human and make mistakes, but this wasn't a mistake. You wanted this, you planned this, and you wanted to keep it a secret and continue to lie, cheat, and hide your filth. I loved you, Olivia. But as Tina Turner says, what's love got to do with it? My trust is lost, and I wonder if I ever really knew you. How many other men were there? How many times have you had fun with your lovers and returned to my bed? I'm so disgusted that I can barely speak." Sobbing, she now understood how I felt and realized what she had done. She had no objections or excuses, but admitted her wrongdoing. "All right, Anthony, I'm guilty and I hate myself. I've never had anyone else, and no matter what I say, I know you can't forgive me for what I did, but I don't want to get a divorce. I'll do whatever you want to stay in this with you. I'll go to counseling. Maybe we could go together to find out what's wrong with me. Please don't leave me." I was silent for a while and said, "Olivia, you can go to a therapist and find out everything you need, and I'll support you. But I can't live with a woman who can treat my heart so carelessly. Your actions and what you said showed me your true feelings, and I don't see how I could live with someone who has those ugly feelings for me. I know there are other women who would be more than happy to be with me. You had your chance, and you voluntarily ruined it by your own hand. Enjoy your week here with the girls and try to explain why you're leaving. I won't talk badly about you to them, but you need to tell them that you're leaving and why. In the divorce agreement, I gave you full access to the girls anytime you want, but they'll live with me. If you continue to be a bad example for the girls, I will make your visits much more difficult. I'll treat you better than you deserve and help you save your relationships with the girls. I actually have something I'd like to ask. Well, 2 things. I'd like answers, so listen to my questions and think about them before answering. My first question is, why? Why did you risk everything for this foolishness? My second question, was it worth it? You don't have to answer right now. Like I said, go away, think about it, and then tell me your answers. I called Robert the following Monday and told him to meet me for lunch on Wednesday. It took very little to convince him that it would be in his best interests to meet with me. I reiterated how upset I was that he had ruined my marriage and how close he had come to getting his ass kicked. I then explained that I had a much better plan in mind for him. When we met, I explained how many people had suffered because he chose to seduce a married woman. I told him how I expected him to pay the price for his arrogance and stupidity. Going forward, he was going to pay Olivia's rent and car payments for the next 3 years. I felt like this was the least amount of pain he should feel for his actions. I explained how it would work. I'll send you payment information so you can set up automatic payments. This is your punishment, and believe me when I tell you, you got off very easy. Even though I ended things with my wife, a part of me still loves her and wants her to be taken care of. Since you were the one that caused this, you will meet my demands. This agreement will help Olivia get back on her feet after I kick her out. I don't care how you do it, but if you don't follow through, I'll make sure you lose your job and will ensure Laura finds out about your infidelity. As a side benefit, you get to keep breathing. All this because you had to seduce a married woman. Assholes like you need to understand that your actions have consequences. Why not hit on single girls instead of breaking up families? That was a really shitty move, Robert. Robert remained silent, his face a mask of both resignation and defeat. Of course, Olivia and I were eventually divorced. Reconciliation was just not a possibility. As time went on, everything settled into a comfortable routine. I treated Olivia amicably, allowed her to visit the children, and they kept the relationship strong. We remained on friendly terms for the sake of our daughters, but she never had my trust or my respect again. Robert made his payments every month, without fail, as a result of the constant threat hanging over his head. As for the questions I had asked Olivia, she wasn't able to explain or answer them to my satisfaction. It was clear to her that her deception and lies were not worth it. She regretted that she had done it, but she could never explain why she had done it. Now, she lives alone, without a boyfriend and without the husband she once had. I could have destroyed her, but losing her family and my love was revenge enough. Even after her therapy sessions, the answer to the question of why she did this still couldn't be explained. The best she could come up with at the moment was, I don't know why, it just happened. It had nothing to do with you or our marriage because I really love you and I was happy with our sex and our life together. But it was just something new and exciting. I screwed up. I couldn't help myself. Olivia, you say you were happy, but if that was so, then why would you dress up and wear sexy clothes for him? Why would you dress like that and do things with him that you never did with me? Perhaps if you had made such an effort with me, we wouldn't be in this situation. It just happened is not really an answer. You did this over and over again, each time dressing the way you did, saying the things you did, doing the things you did, while telling me that you loved me. I hope someday you can actually give me a good answer as to why you did this. I think you owe all of us a proper explanation. As a final, personal and honest opinion, I believe that those who are married should consider their actions and the consequences that may come from those actions. The truth always comes out inevitably, and the path of destruction left behind is always greater and more long-lasting than the fleeting, momentary thrill of sexual gratification. Talk to your partners, people. Either communicate and share each other's needs or just end the relationship. Betrayal is too painful an act, and the consequences too lingering.
And that concludes another tale for another week. Only this time it seems like our main character has taken on an air of self-awareness and afforded us his own unfettered opinions on the state of relationships that take such tragic turns. And he has done so very succinctly. Do you have anything further to add, William?
Not really, Doc? The bro and the story pretty much covered it. The only thing is, you think you know someone's deepest, innermost thoughts and feelings. You think you're on the same level, know them in and out, but even then, they can still turn around and just whip you like that. Doesn't seem really fair, Doc? Even kinda stink to think that it's all just a gamble and luck of the draw to end up with one of the truly good ones.
I see what you're saying, William. My thoughts go out to the collateral damage in these situations, the ones caught in the crossfire of the consequences. In this case, as in a lot of cases, the children. Are people really so obtuse that they truly don't take the consequences of their actions into regard? The marriages, the families, the people that may be irrevocably changed. Some people truly are dense and selfish. A sad state of affairs.
Oh, I know it was a bit of a downer this week, Doc, but we've always got next week. Maybe things will pick up then.
Of course, William. There is always another tale for another day, and to that end, we have come to the end of this week's episode.
Oh, good, Doc. And kia ora for joining us again, cuzzies. You'll catch us again next week. Ka kite.
And thank you for watching. If you enjoyed today's episode, please feel free to give a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel, as well as sharing with your friends and family who might enjoy it too. Your support is greatly appreciated. Also, please feel free to comment with your own thoughts, opinions, and ideas, as we would love to hear from you. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, cheerio.